right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. How are you out there? Thinker St. James here, alongside my good friend Chase Parton. And today we are back once again for episode 4 of The Cage, the review that myself and Chase have been doing of this limited run Netflix series is on episode 4 now. Chase, how are you and what's going on?
You know, we are obviously living it up because we got fights tomorrow. But in the meantime, we had to halt and stop time so we could finish episode 4 of this. And I really appreciate you doing this tonight.
Same. Likewise. Happy to be here to do it. Of course, plenty of actual news going on in the MMA world as always. You know, people potentially sick, people not sick, fighters all making weight, all of those things, all of the actual news of the day. You put it to the side because we've got more important fish to fry, and that is episode 4 of The Cage. So going into it, same as we did last time, I have a long-winded recap of episode 3 if you would like me to start with that, Chase.
You can go ahead and start with that because I'm pretty foggy on it. It's been a while, guys, so I apologize.
No, you know, understandable considering how this series is progressing, but it's a good recap to get us primed for all of the new bullshit that we're going to be getting into with this episode. So let's start off with that.
I would like to actually preface by saying,
Sure.
I think if we binge watched this show, we would still be as confused as we were if we watched each episode years apart, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean, confusing is not necessarily like the feeling, though. It's just more like, you know what I mean? It's hard to quantify, but it's like I'm understanding the progression of stuff. It's just like, why is this?
Let me ask you a question, and we'll get into it, of course. Do you think at the end of the episode, do you think this series was meant to make you feel discombobulated because of how the end of this episode? We'll get into that, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that it's intentionally, like, discombobulating. I think that it's like we have to continue keeping them on their toes at every turn of every episode to the point where it also, like, almost eats itself because of it. That's what I think. It's like you've zigged and zagged so many times that you're now starting to run yourself into the ground.
Yeah, no, this one is definitely an interesting episode. Every episode is a roller coaster, like, seriously. And this one, I mean, Jesus, every time is like icing on the cake. So I would like to get into the recap so we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, this was certainly one of the funnier, if not the funniest one to me. But let's get into the episode.
You thought this was funny? Dude, I didn't go into this with actually as good of a spirit as I should have, because by episode 4, guys, I'm telling you, this is pulling teeth to get through these fucking episodes. Like, holy shit.
Both myself and Chase were watching it at the same time, preparing for this, and just halfway through, I see the message in Discord pop up. Guys, this show sucks.
Yeah.
But anyway, something to look forward to. But let's get into the episode 3 recap real quick, and then we'll start in on episode 4. So episode 3 starts with our hero, Taylor, his shitty mom having been beaten up by some unknown gangster associates of her shitty boyfriend because Taylor didn't throw his fight. Because of this, it's somehow Taylor's responsibility to come up with the money that shitty boyfriend owes the bad dudes, so Taylor is suddenly in need of $40,000, which is a ridiculous amount to be expecting for a decent fighter, let alone an internet-famous amateur who just went to a split draw in his debut, as Taylor will come to find out back at shitty gym with shitty coach who has suddenly decided to actually do his job and coach his students. During training, Taylor stares at his new love interest, formerly known as the gym's only female, but she now has a friend who spawned out of nowhere, so gym's almost only female. We've been calling her the only female in the gym, so we're going to stick with that for now. Taylor stares at this chick for very long, very obvious amount of time, tipping off his feelings to his other friend, the one who isn't the funny fat guy. At lunch, this other friend is legitimately and openly juicing at the table and also lets Taylor know that he should stay away from the only female because he didn't have so much luck with her when he tried to get her. She doesn't date fighters. Also, he says he's trustworthy, so we as an audience know that he will eventually not be trustworthy. Then, funny fat friend comes over and out of nowhere, KSW is having a one-night, $100,000 tournament. Eureka! So even though the tournament is 2 weight classes heavier than Taylor, he says, I'm going for it with this very, very bad idea that he's undertaking here. He talks to shitty coach about it. He says no. Taylor says yes. Tournament it is. Starts eating as much as he can. We've got 1 month to make this happen. After one of the training sessions for this tournament, Taylor walks lone female to her car, where she clarifies that she doesn't date fighters, but with Taylor, it's different for some reason. Podcast legend Cyril Gahn comes in to the gym to help Taylor train. He regales him with stories of his UFC fights, even though they don't really line up with like the reality of what they were doing in the cage, but that's irrelevant. The tournament is here. And while Taylor gets ready, juiced up friend bro asks Taylor to check his phone for some reason, or like Taylor was getting ready and he has his friend check his phone, and friend bro sees that the only female in the gym has been texting Taylor. Jealousy ensues and will continue throughout the rest of the episode. Fight 1 for Taylor. He pulls off the Jorge Masvidal one-shot knee knockout. Everybody is like, cool, that's great. No one really cares too much that they just saw one of the most amazing knockouts of all time. Fight 2 is a much closer fight. Taylor wins, but he exhausts himself beyond his body's limit at that point. Coach says that he should quit. Taylor says that's not happening. Friend bro says, damn, can't believe you're trying to get with that chick that I tried to get with. Taylor says, whatever. And the final fight of the tournament commences with Taylor facing a Dagestani killer. He gets fucked up as usual early, but he has this burst of comeback energy, and just when it looks like he's going to win the fight, he gets knocked out and Mortal Kombat skull crushed into the canvas, which is where the episode concludes. Chase, did I miss anything?
I don't think you missed anything. That was actually that was a damn good recap. I tell you, in each episode you give a good one, and that was a good one. So
appreciate it.
Listen, going into the 4th episode after what we just left off with, I like. You would never expect the story that's coming. Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, and I just wanted to say, too, that, for as annoying as this show is for us to, like, actually commit to sitting all the way through, one thing that I think that we can definitely feel pride in is that we are going over this convoluted story point by fucking point. So they cannot zig and zag and just kind of put anything in the background because, like, if you go back and look at our reviews, like, we've been really thorough with the examination of this. If this was a better show, it would be to its credit. You know what I mean? Like, this would be like, man, they really nailed it with this. Like, this connects here, and we'd be putting all the points together. But because it's kind of an unraveling mess, you're just getting all of the points of this heap.
Yeah, I thought about it earlier in the day. I'm like, if you listen to this and you really never watched the show, you would just think we are just talking about so many different random shows all in one. Like, this has got so many different things. It tries to be so many different things.
It spans distance. It spans time and distance and ideas. The show is all over the place, literally.
You will see in the first scene the distance that is traveled in this. So we'll get into this. Like, go ahead.
Well, yeah. So we start off the episode with Taylor waking up from the worst knockout in the history of knockouts, just backstage. And the coach is saying, oh, you got knocked out. Taylor doesn't know where he is. All this, he's asking him, it's like coming to, asking what happened. Where am I? And the coach is like, you got knocked out. Yeah, it sucks. Let's get you to the hospital. And my question was, why the hell was he not already in the hospital if you saw how brutal that knockout was?
Yeah, no, this one was definitely pretty crazy. I didn't have too many notes on the actual incident because, like, by this point, it hurts to take notes on some of the things because they've already done dumber things like that. Them having him just in the stretcher, like, and the coach is just like fucking with him. Like, I don't even care. Like, whatever. Like, that's just normal.
Yeah, and one thing to note about this episode specifically too is that, like, not that much actually happens in this one. This is like where they're starting to, like, it felt like they had to stretch a little bit to fill up the time. Like, so there are things we'll get to all of them, of course, but like everything felt like a little bit more elongated compared to some of the other ones, which is funny considering how, like, all of what we've already gone through with this. It's like, man, you're packing a million different things in and also having to stretch. That's a weird dichotomy there,
Believe it or not, I think this episode is what they wanted this whole episode or the whole series to end in, like, what this ending is. Like, they're setting this ending of this episode. Like, I think that's what they were going for. If we'll get to it, of course, but, like, what I'm talking about.
Yes, of course.
Like,
yeah.
That's what I think their end goal was like set up something.
And we're gonna have to see what the next set of twists and turns for the finale are going to be. But yeah, I understand where you're coming from at this point. But so we're in the backstage area, not at the hospital. Coach looks at the friend of Taylor, it's Coach and the friend bro, the trustworthy friend or whatever. And Coach looks at him like, "You gonna say anything to your boy, bro? He just got knocked out." And friend is just silent.
Yeah, no, I actually, so I said Coach and shit friend standing over his dead body. And then they did, they started talking to him at a moment. And they're like, everything you're feeling right now is normal. And Taylor's like lifeless, like twitching, and and it's like, yo, he clearly ain't feeling normal, like, that's a stretch.
Well, to be expected, I guess, is more of what they meant, but yeah, I know what you mean.
No, yeah, maybe maybe it was a script and whatever. And then so Taylor's like, I'm not feeling well, and then in my mind, I'm like, well, Taylor's gonna die. If anything else in this show is gonna happen, Taylor's just gonna die, and somebody else is gonna be the new main character.
If that's the final twist, that would be in line with the amount of twists that we've gotten already. I wouldn't necessarily go as far as to say it would be a good twist, but it would be like, yeah, they're just continuing to zag.
Well, it'll be the girl next season. It'll be her story.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get into that. But anyway,
Sure.
So the coach and friend look at each other, and in my mind, what they're looking at, and I swear to you, I thought this. They looked at each other and they're like, "We got to get him some roids. Like, you know what to do. He's lifeless right there. You got to get him the serum, dude. It's going to get his adrenaline going." And
friend just pulls out the vial right there. He's just like, "We can fix this."
Dude, that's what I'm thinking. It's like the coach gave him the go get the super soldier serum look. And oh my goodness, that's
funny that you say that, because there's going to be something coming up that'll relate to that point a little bit later on. Not about the juicing part, but
yes,
we'll come back to it. But so Ibrahim, our big bad villain from before, is back, right? I mean, that's what really no.
Yes, I think maybe this happens first, but there was a scene right after this. I swear it happens right after. Taylor's just out and walking about, like he's just fine, like, and then that's the scene that happens right after.
Oh, well, because I think you're thinking about the doctor at that point.
No, heck no.
Okay.
It was right after he got out of the hospital, because I'm sitting here. This is what I meant by like the distance and time of the show.
Yeah.
It's because he's in the hospital dead, lifeless. They give him
no, you're right, because that's what this part is that he's back. He's standing out there on the street on his phone. That's what I mean by Ibrahim is back and talking shit. He's talking shit on Instagram. Taylor is up and walking and watching it on his phone.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have no idea he was just lifeless one scene ago, and now he's just walking around with a little cut on his eye, like just walking about, having a good deal. Gets in Coach's car, and Coach is like, what's up? How you doing, man? It's good to have you back. Blah blah blah. I also did note right here, villain is back. Sorry, that was the note after Taylor is alive ?
Right.
Villain is back. Yes.
Yeah. And I guess if you're only listening to the reviews that we're doing and not actually watching the show, it's important to keep in mind how absolutely devastatingly hard the hit that he took was. Like, yeah. I mean, this was like a kill shot that this dude landed on him in this fight. Like, he should be dead.
It's not even that. It's like, I have the note. It's like, the villain wants to come finish the job, quote unquote, after he pushed out. Taylor was already wanting to fight him like 4 or 5 times, and he would have done it. And then, Ibrahim disappears for a whole episode, and that basically is 4 years probably.
We're jumping all over the place. Yeah.
You were thinking he got written off. Written
off.
Well,
that is going to come back. They do confirm that. So in the previous episode, they did very briefly mention that Ibrahim had been expelled from KSW. And that's why we're going to be in a different organization in this episode. But they'll talk about that in a little while too. But yeah, no, he's back now on Instagram, after the knockout of Taylor, saying, "You must have been fucked in that fight." He's just talking shit on Instagram. And like you said, Coach picks him up. Coach driving an Alfa Romeo. Very nice. Taylor is like back in the car now. He's asking about more fights immediately. And he says, "I'm losing my mind sitting around." Bro, you literally just fought. You still have blood on your face. That is exactly what you're talking about there.
Yes, yeah, no, that was nuts. And then so in this scene, they do, again, with the subtitles and what they're saying, I'm trying to take notes. I don't really, sometimes I get lost in the plot because I don't know what's happening. Then they're sitting there and the coach gives him a little drug deal money kind of deal. He's not like, "Hey, here's the money for what we'll get into." He's like, "Here it is, bro." Good deal. And Taylor's like, "I didn't get the job done, man." It's in the paper bag, like it's got a $sign wrote on it, like shit like that, like stupid shit. And I'm sitting here questioning, like, why is the coach paying Taylor? Where's the money coming from now? We acting like we got fucking money to give around.
I would assume Oh, I assume that's his show money, right?
I mean,
Yeah, well, actually, no.
in my opinion,
okay, so
you don't get shit out that fucking fight tournament. You gotta win.
You gotta, yeah. He won 2 fights. I say, okay, so this is the thing, though, right? So now, this is a question that is going to come up throughout a little bit. So we can address it now, though, because you bring up a good point. He was in a tournament where he fought 3 times in one night, right? He won 2 of those fights, lost the 3rd one. So does that now mean are these amateurs still? I question. Mm-hmm. If they're amateur, fair, whatever. If they're pro, fair. My question is, what is his record now? Is he 2-1-1? Is that the actual record? Like, that's the show record, but like, what as a pro were those pro fights? Are they not? Is he still amateur? No real like definitive like definition of that for people who would be asking questions like that, because my whole thing is that should also dictate parts of how this goes forward. Because my other note here from this conversation is that the coach is not wrong in the way that he is telling Taylor that the career kind of like trajectory is kind of screwed up, because basically the rest of what happens in this conversation is that Ibrahim is saying that he wants to finish the job, like you said. This Ares promotion, ARES, that's a French promotion. They want to put the rematch on. Taylor's like, oh, I'll smoke him, no problem. Then we're back to normal. Okay, whatever. But coach is correct. He's saying Taylor built his career incorrectly, and this KO that he just took sets him back in a major way. So if you like, and I was agreeing. I'm like, if you think about it, like now he has a split draw on his record. He has a knockout that he is on the wrong side of. He has 2 victories, yes, but do they even count because of the tournament system? Do you see why this is confusing?
Yes, yeah, this one is definitely a wonky one, and it's part of the show and the writers. It's part of their job to help you understand by building a coherent story, and we don't get that. We don't get that in this one. And I'm not a film buff, guys. I'm the one. I just watch the show, and if it's hard to watch, and I'll bring it up plenty of times. It's like when you're watching a show and you can't pull out the phone to text because you're trying to take notes. It makes it horrible when you're watching a show like this because it doesn't make sense. Like, it's hard. It's really hard.
Right. It's one of those things that if you were texting, you'd come back and be like, what did I miss? Because this isn't making sense. But if you are paying attention to it closely, you're like, I didn't miss anything and it's not making sense.
Exactly. Yes. So going into the next scene, Taylor, how did Taylor get the money was, I said, stupid plot. I'm not really sure what's going on here. So taking him to his mom's, he's like, let's go to your mom's. And I'm like, great is what I wrote. This is great. Get the shit coach to the mom. That's what we need. And coach meet shitheads is what I have here. That's in the notes because he's definitely coming to meet the funky bunch. And they have some great talks. I don't know if you have any notes up until that point.
I mean, I basically have almost exactly what you had. I said, coach is going to meet shitty mom and shitty boyfriend. Tense scene incoming. Whatever. It was going to be one of those scenes. But it really wasn't all that bad, actually. After
that's what I'm saying. You're sitting here, you're like, oh, tense scene incoming, because like that's in your mind, like that's what would be expected after this. Like the coach is going to come with him to see his mom. He's going to understand the living situation after he gives her the money, and he doesn't get to keep any of it. That's the underlying things going into it. And then you get to the scene, and then you do actually have a good moment, right? You do have a good moment where the coach actually tries to like tell the parents like, look, your kid can be something. Your kid can be amazing. He's got potential, blah, 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 blah. And I think it's so much hilarious, right? That he just never gives him the opportunities that he keeps saying that he could capitalize on. Like that is the key here.
Yeah, he goes in and now he's like deciding that he's actually believing in Taylor a little bit, or at least outwardly portraying that. And he says he's got the talent to become a big star. Your son is a good man. This dude says, the coach says to the parents or whatever, the mom and the boyfriend. And I just had that coach decides to start believing in Taylor after he's on the wrong side of the worst knockout of all time.
Yes, yeah. I said he was definitely kissing ass. Definitely kissing ass there. And what I also forgot to mention, because this happened right before the coach started talking, Taylor hands his mom the money, and she's like, oh, man, that's great. It's a start. And I'm like, bitch, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? It's a start. Like, you get the Go ahead.
It's
Jesus.
it's 33,000 of 40,000,
Like,
and it's a
what the
start. That's
fuck?
a start. That'll
Oh,
help, she says.
and then she like switched it up. She's like, oh, I mean, it's thank you. It's like, you better fucking get up out of here. The boyfriend is just sitting there broke as fuck, eating a taco or something. Like, he ain't doing shit. Like, oh my goodness. And Taylor's still apologizing for him. Like, man, like, if I would have just lost that fight, we'd be good. And like the dude's like, yeah, man, like, fuck, we could have got that fucking money, man. Like, dude, and he hands him 37, that whatever the fuck money it is. Like, damn.
Yeah, and I did like that when the coach was like, he needs support. The mom was like, "Oh yeah, no, we're proud." And then she smiled at the end, and I had in the notes, did they cast mom because she smiles like the troll face cartoon?
Dude, my goodness.
She legit had like I mean, and no offense to this actress or anything, but like the way that she smiles, like she has like kind of that outward jaw a little bit, so like she kind of went to the side, and it really looked like the troll face.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. This scene, dude, they cast her like perfect. Like, I'm trying to think of some 2000 sitcoms moms, because this girl, she needs to be in one. I don't know how to explain it, man. She could be Roseanne if on a good day.
Yeah, like good quality French white trash is what it
like,
is.
Bro,
they really nailed it with that one. I didn't know that they had a parallel over in France.
Exactly. Like, this is like what you would find in a trailer park in America. Like, I'm so confused like that, because like when you go see the house, it's got like a gate and it's got like a wall, like it's like fenced off. It's like, what? How are they in there living like that when they clearly got there? I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely exactly as it's presented like that. You know what I mean? As far as the socioeconomic elements of it.
Right.
So moving, I mean, that was all I had for that.
Yes, we can move on, because I think this is another point where the time is distorted. We don't know what the fuck's going on. Taylor walks into the gym. He has no like wounds. He's having a great day. This could be a year later. This could be the next day, because he wants to get a fight in the next. We'll actually talk about how quickly he gets a fight. Whatever you want to say. So this is nuts.
But yeah, so he enters the gym, and this is the beginning of what will be a little bit of a theme for this episode, where he's starting to have flashes of kind of shakiness and just they do gradually introduce it. So I mean, like, if you want to count that as like an okay thing, I guess, as far as like the storytelling aspect goes, then fine. So it's not like they all at once like have him have like a complete mental breakdown off rip. They start to slowly introduce these little shaky cam flashback imagery type of things where he's having visions that you don't really know exactly what they are at first. Could it be residual head trauma? Is it, something else? Like it'd be a little bit early for CTE, but like that, it's that type of thing is what they're trying to set up, some type of mental block and issues that he's going through. And it starts just with like a flash at first, and then eventually they'll start building up. But this is the first one that we see.
Yeah, no, well, so before we see the flash, you forget how it was set up, I guess. So we walk into the gym, and this is not how it was set up, but this is a crucial point. The girl and Taylor are in an open relationship now. They just walk around and kiss each other in the gym, slap each other on the ass, whatever you want to say. That's crucial.
That's right. That's right next. But yeah, they're kissing people in front of other people now.
Right. No, that happened before, because Morgan Cherie is in the cage, and he's like, all right, let's get training. And then they go in there, and he starts getting popped up. And what's hilarious, the reason he was starting to have PTSD is because Morgan Cherie used the same combo that bro was getting diced up with it in the fight. Like, I was like, bro, that is crucial. Like, he wasn't letting up, too. He's just blasting him with it. And, like, bro's just like,
Well, see, okay, so we're saying the same things. It's just they're coming out in a little bit slightly differently, because like he had one quick flash at the very beginning of this.
Oh, okay.
Then it's the with the girl, where they kiss each other, and it's like, okay, I guess now everybody knows that they're a couple. And then this is also a big note that probably just kind of got swept by for a lot of people, but very interesting to me as the MMA nerd that I am. Okay, lone female is training with Anissa Meksen. That is a fighter in one championship, decently credentialed MMA fighter in one. I don't know if the dub fucked it up or why this is the case, because she's only on the screen for this very brief amount of time. It's another one of those cameos where it's just like, oh, nice to see you, and then she walks away. But on the dub or in the subtitles, they refer to her as Anissa Anexel. And I cannot find anywhere online any reason for them not having her correct last name. She doesn't go by that last name anywhere that I could find online. She's not married, or at least if she's married, that's not her last name. So it's a weird thing where it's like she is playing a known fighter. First name is the same, but the last name is different. So I don't know if they wanted her to be a characterized version, but why would they? It made no sense why this fighter's last name would be different. And of all fighters, to be a person who's not very well known, you'd think that she, as a one championship fighter, would want to like be a little bit of an exposure thing for her, right? I mean, like, you know, get her name out there a little bit more on this show. Just wrong last name.
I think maybe one, you're maybe onto something too, but we've also seen other characters in the show who are fighters that are playing just characters in the show. Taylor Lapis is just a commentator in this fucking series. He commentates every promotion too.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that too. Yes, he does. But so it's like, but why her one way and then Morgan Charrier differently? Because that was the funniest part, is that they are literally back to back. So well, you know, yeah, you're right. Some people do it one way, some people do it another way, and there's no rhyme or reason to why.
I'll bring it up later too, but I think another interesting thing, it's maybe not even in the same realm, but for some reason when they show fight clips, like anytime in the show, it's never a French guy winning. Have you noticed that? Like, it's always just a Russian guy. And I'm like, wow, like, and this would be the opportunity to be like, there's Fares Zaim, like, he's the winner of the tournament. You know, something like that. Because they're just showing random fights. You know, why is it always got to be literally the dude training with Habib or, you know Hamzat's fucking cousin? You know, shit like that. Like,
yeah, no, I agree. And actually, you know, going back and telling them how they could improve the show a little bit, they had that Red One guy. He could have he could have been one of the guys. You remember Red One from the first episode, the prodigy student that we haven't seen? He could be a guy that's now, he went to go train with Fernand Lopez, who we'll see a little bit later in this episode. Could have been like him getting the win. Instead, it was just some rando.
Yeah, I don't know. The cameos are interesting because, like I said, some people play themselves, and maybe it's a personal choice. Maybe I mean, you said you didn't find it anywhere, but maybe she just, I'll be in the movie, but just don't have my real name.
Yeah, no, I maybe the promotion, maybe one championship didn't want there. You know, there's a million different reasons why I could or could not.
Is she French?
Yes, she is French.
Oh, well, I was thinking like, maybe it's a different regional thing. Like, just don't have me pinpointed as like a villain to, like, you know, something like that. But
yeah,
that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, this is what I'm saying. It's very crazy for her to not have her actual last name with her first name the same, and then Morgan Charrier, who he's going to be doing the sparring session with, like you said, he has his real name. So it's just very weird. Maybe it couldn't be. Maybe they couldn't have fighters from outside the UFC with their real names. Maybe that's. But that doesn't make sense either, because the boxer was the real name.
Yeah, maybe it's the other. Well. I don't know, man. I have no idea. We got to get back into this. We're getting on a tangent here.
Just chalk it up to being some weird shit with this show, and we'll move on. But I'm just saying it's another piece of weird stuff floating in the ether here. But anyway, so yeah, back to it. Morgan Charrier is with him in the cage. They're doing a light spar, basically, is what they were describing it as, and more. This is where the flashes start getting a little bit more frantic when the cage door latches. He's like, I didn't even warm up. And then they go through this sequence of sparring, which actually I had to say, there's any positive that I can glean. I did think that the choreography between Taylor and Charrier was actually really nicely done.
You want to actually give props to anything. And this is maybe, I'm tapping into new things that I didn't even know that I could, like, you know, understand. If in this scene right here where Morgan Charrier is, you know, with Taylor in the cage sparring, the ADR, you know, like the replacement audio, whatever it is, even for the dub, like the dude is like cooking for the Morgan side. Like he's like, and I'm like, damn, he might be actually in the booth throwing a kick himself, you know, like he was cooking. I don't know why I thought that was the one thing I noticed. Like, man, that like, I like looked up like, man, that's a good thing to notice. Like that voice actor, he is in there sparring in the booth, and good for him. I appreciate it.
And if I can give one tiny teaser for going forward, it's also to say that the dub was doing some amazing work, not only in that aspect, but with the crowd, when the crowd be throwing some stuff out there, because there are some The things that made me laugh out loud in this episode the most were things that were coming out of the crowd, and we'll talk about those when they come up.
There's one specific thing that I remember that made me laugh. It's a little further on down, but we'll get into that. So continue on.
So we're getting these little flashes here. Taylor essentially gets overwhelmed by these flashes that he's having. He quits sparring Charrier. He's like, I need to take a break. I'm tired, whatever, I just need to get out of here or whatever. And his lady sees it, and immediately my first thought is, oh no, has she caught the ick? Because it very well could have been right then and there. We know that she suddenly got into Taylor because of his amazing victories and knocking out Ibrahim in the sparring session. Did she see some weakness in him and suddenly change her mind? Won't end up being the case, but that was my immediate thought anyway.
Trust me, we will get into her later. But I think that was the last note I have on that scene. I think the next scene is very funny, the way that it opens up.
The
Taylor
freak out?
Yeah, no. It starts off even better. So Taylor's looking in the mirror, and he's having a moment. Random dude who does become a little more prevalent. Maybe it's not the same dude that I'm thinking of, but he just walks by and he's like, "Hey, you okay, man?" And Taylor's like, "Yeah, man, I'm all right." And I thought to myself, like, I was gonna put the notes. Taylor lying to himself, but I probably would do the same because trauma dumping on a random is pretty rude, So.
It would have definitely been a thing if he had turned to him and been like, "No, man, I'm not okay."
Yeah. So that was a little relatable. I kind of get like after you think about it for a second, like, man, I probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably just be like, "No, I'm."
Yeah, but so I mean, and again, we have time and time again had to say about this show about the cliches and the use of them. We are now getting into the looking himself in the mirror, having a bit of an existential crisis based on this trauma that he's experienced. So he's in the mirror, he starts freaking out, and I had in the notes that the actor playing Taylor was saving all of his emoting to let it all out at once.
Yeah, no, it was definitely pretty cringe, I will say that, but he was going through, if you've seen Spider-Man, he was going through the Green Goblin shit. Like, he was getting voices telling him to do some other stuff. In the notes I said Green Goblin era, or worse, Chris Benoit era. So we don't know what's coming next, but I mean, hey.
Yeah, that maybe hopefully not that bad. But no, it definitely reminded me of like a mid-2000s new metal music video. Like it was like flashes of stuff. Like the only thing that they were missing was cuts away to the band. But like, it's like shaky cam and he's like screaming and the lighting is all dark and shit.
One thing that it reminds me of is the Butterfly Effect movies with Ashton Kutcher.
There you go.
It's like a weird, like you don't even know what you're looking at times, kind of deal.
Yeah. It's giving you that disorienting feeling because that's what he's experiencing. Yes. So that's what you're encapsulated in with this thing that he's going through.
And this is where I note something, and then it comes back up very, very quick. So I want to note, and then we'll get back to it. I said, this is why therapy needs to be more accessible.
Yo, and that I mean, if there's any takeaway from this episode specifically, that absolutely is it. And we'll talk about him with the doctor and everything in a minute. But like, yeah, that really is the big takeaway from all of this is that were he just to confront these this trauma that he's going through in a healthy way, this entire episode could be negated,
right?
And all of the events thereof.
If his coach would have told him, "Hey, dude, look at your face. You still have lumps and bruises on it. Don't talk about fighting. Go home. Take some time. Ice your head." Maybe this would all, slow down a little bit.
Oh yeah, and keep this section of conversation in mind for the things that we go over for the rest of this episode, because you can draw this back to every single thing that we're going to be talking about.
Yes. Okay, so going into the next scene, this is a quick scene. Villain is back, talking shit, hitting the bag. This is a good bag work video. It looks really nice. I think the manager's with him, or maybe it's his little bookie guy, probably the same guy. Just telling him, hyping him up, and that's all I really got on that scene. That was a very quick one.
Well, no, so we were just talking about how we're getting cliches in the existential crisis that he's going through in the mirror. We're also getting cliches in Big Bad Ibrahim the villain coming back. You're right, crushing the speed bag, by the way. Yeah. Very, very nice speed bag work. But we're getting the enemy is building the mega weapon scene with Ibrahim because he's with his coach, and coach is yelling, faster, Ibrahim. And I'm like, brother, Ibrahim is huge. Imagine him trying to keep this pace in an actual fight. But right. I digress.
Yeah, no, that is a pretty good point. I'm trying to think. It was definitely pretty funny. I always this scene right here made me once again say this is the Kung Fu Panda villain. Like this is nothing more than that from Kung
For
Fu Panda.
sure.
The original guy is the original.
OG.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, but so Ibrahim is, huge. He's angry as he always is. He talks so much shit in this episode. That's really all he does for the most part. And he's raring to go. I mean, he's training really hard for this rematch, with Taylor. That's where we're at in the story, at least. So then we get into the scene with the doctor now.
Yes.
And again, keep in mind what we were just talking about throughout all of this going forward. But so he's talking to the doctor, and the doctor, first of all, looks like Harvey Keitel's younger brother, basically. That is legit. You see the doctor in this show, he looks so much like a young Harvey Keitel. But he tells Taylor that, like, well, he basically asks him, he says, are you experiencing any kind of mental, effects from the knockout, this and that? And he literally lists out every single thing that Taylor is experiencing.
Talk about cliches. I have it wrote down. You may experience everything he's experiencing up until this point in the show. And
Right.
then what Taylor does, this is so Chad. This is so Chad of Taylor. He does this. Ready?
Yeah. Oh, I said, bro, Taylor with this, I don't know what you're talking about acting.
Yes.
The only thing that he didn't do was go,
Yeah.
He really could have started blubbering the lips on that one,
Yes.
dude. Yeah, that was quality right there for sure. But yeah, Taylor he's not hearing any of this. I don't know what you're talking about, PTSD, doc. Because doctor's saying to him that you might be experiencing PTSD from this, and if you are, then you can't fight. I would have to I'd have to recommend that you don't fight. And I said, if this dude is actually a sports doctor, he just said the one thing that you should never say if you don't want to ensure that you're not going to get an honest answer.
Yes. Yeah, no, this was definitely a funny scene. The next scene is pretty funny, too. I don't know if you have anything else about the doctor, because the next scene is really funny.
Oh, no, yeah, that was about it with the doctor. Just the main note is that if he had said that he wasn't going to, that he was experiencing PTSD, if he had said that, he wouldn't be able to fight. He's saying no. We go on to him getting picked up in the car by the coach now.
Yes, Coach is definitely his fucking chauffeur now. I don't know if you've noticed that. He drives him everywhere. Taylor just never has a car. He had $30,000. Could have got him a beater, but mom needed her crack
mom and
money or
boyfriend,
whatever.
Yeah.
But so Coach is the taxi, gets in the car. Taylor gets in, he's all like looking around, like, having a shit day, of course. And then Coach is like, so what'd he say? And Taylor's like, he said, I'm good to go, man. We're good. Like, I'm ready. I'm locked in. Like, come on. Let's get me in the gym. So it was pretty funny.
He gets back in the car, a little bit more subdued, but that's basically what it is, where it's, what did the doctor say? We're good to go. We're right back at it. And then Coach with, no proof needed, no paperwork, none of that kind of stuff.
He buys it.
A fist bump, and we're back to head trauma.
Dude,
right back in.
I for a little bit in this episode, I was like, man, the coaches, they're at least trying to write him as like somebody who's like taking initiative in Taylor's life and, trying to help him. We, as the audience, understand that he's an asshole and he's not really helping him. But like in the story, yes, he is like a role model. He's like a figure to Taylor.
Right.
And I think it's nuts when you get into the end of this episode. Holy shit, guys. Because this guy here, he's just, like you said, cool, we'll get back into fighting. Let's kill you. Like, that is his ultimate goal. He wants Taylor to die.
Well, I mean, well, yeah, okay. We'll get to why you're feeling about that part of it. But like at this point in the story, at least by this part of the episode, it's like Coach has finally come around to the idea of actually believing in him to an extent. So he's doing all this stuff, but Coach has already acknowledged that they're not doing it the right way. So it's like, even if he had better intentions as a coach, he can't really do it that way now because of how convoluted this story and this career has become for Taylor. So we're in this weird sort of make 'em up area, and that's what he's having to navigate as well. So it's an odd situation with that.
I want you guys to know that this is the most odd situation that it could ever become. I know the circumstances are not in Taylor's favor. I know he's got a career that is convoluted, but what the inevitable outcome of this show it should have never even happened. Like, there is no way that the show exists and is real.
That's, I mean, it's like you're here. If you're only hearing the verbal descriptions of it, it really can't do justice to just how twisted this whole thing is. Not twisted in a sick way, but twisted as in a serpentine, round and round, freaking tangled spider web of nonsense way.
Yeah,
and that's the career that he's having to try to coach and navigate with Taylor.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so then Coach, like I said, Coach, or like we said, Coach buys it. I said probably because maybe he's a little hesitant in the storyline,
right?
But as of right now, he's like, "Yep, cool, we're good to go." And then the next scene, the very next scene, weigh-ins.
Yeah,
we're walking on the scale. Taylor made weight before I even said weigh-ins. Question mark. And he just walked in, made weight. I said against who? And then the villain walks in and he gets on the fucking scale. I'm like, whoa.
Again, talk about the problems with timelines and time jumping, another time warp situation here. Because, in the notes I had said, we're right back at it in the car, fist bump. And then I'm like, oh, we're really right back at it because we are at the Eris weigh-ins for the Ibrahim rematch. I guess it all came together in the time that we were jumping scenes. Also wanted to note that the Eris weigh-ins area, that little auditorium room, bears a striking resemblance to the KSW weigh-ins auditorium room.
Oh, does it? No, I wonder. A lot of those arenas, for some reason, the crowd just looks a little animated. I don't really know what that one is about either.
It's almost like if you change the lighting a little bit, it's a whole new place.
Either way. So, also to note, this is the weigh-in fight, or this is the weigh-ins for a championship fight. Ibrahim is the champion. Yeah.
Did they say that? Oh God,
yes.
I must have missed that.
Yes.
Oh, geez. Okay. I knew it was a title. Not a title fight. I knew that it was a main event fight, which I thought was like, damn, that's a big step up.
So anyway, and then you got Coach, and he's behind Taylor, and they're getting the game plan together. He's like, don't fall into his trap. Don't do it, Taylor. Don't do it. And Taylor's like, yeah, I got this. Don't worry. I'm not going to do nothing stupid. Walks head first, does the stupidest shit that he could ever do. And it's not like stupid. It's like where he's like, oh, you made a mistake. Now you pissed him off. Like, he's always going to be angry. It's like, Taylor, why would you just go out there and just argue with him? Like, you literally know that's all he wants to do is argue. Like, that's all he wants to do. Like, you could have just walked away. So then Taylor gets kicked out of the weigh-ins, which is ironic because the other dude's getting held back by his team, which I don't know if you noticed this. Surreal Ghan was there.
Oh no, I did not see Cyril in the background.
Surreal Ghan was
there.
holding Ibrahim back, and I didn't notice him before, and I was like, maybe should I have noticed him in the back, like promoting the fight or something? But like, no, he's just holding. I mean, he's just security, I guess.
Well, a decent little bit of realism might not be the right word, but at least world building, because this is Eris, this is a French promotion, so I guess it would make sense that French fighters, and it's also Fernand Lopez's promotion, at least in the show. I don't know if he's actually, I would assume that he is if they put him there. But yeah, it's Fernand Lopez is involved with this organization as well, so Cyril Ghan makes sense for being there. But yeah, so it's like you said, I'm not going to play his game. Tense face off. Immediately plays his game. Ibrahim is goading him on like any face-off at a weigh-in or whatever, and Taylor ends up pushing him. He gets kicked out at that point, and that's what brings us up to what Chase was just
yeah. And then he has his little CTE rage is how I have it wrote down. He's going through his little phase. Then we go outside. His girl follows him, and oh my goodness, talk about emasculating your man. Now, it doesn't even have to be in public. In private is probably even worse. You go up to him and you say, "You're not like that, buddy." Like, she literally had those words, remove the buddy. I have crying emojis after it because I'm like, holy shit, like, what the fuck? I thought y'all were, like, cool. And then, I was like, why is she trying to kill his mojo? He's amped for the fight, and she killing all of that shit. Like, what are you doing? Like, he was ready to go kill Ibrahim. And as we see what happens later, maybe you should have just shut the fuck up. Stay in your lane. Like,
Yeah, see, I guess for realism in the idea that this that this girl did not realize what she was saying to him when she was saying what she was saying. But so basically what all this is that this is another time jump actually, because we're cutting. Yeah,
this is right. No, this is right outside, I think.
it's outside, but it's in front of the Eiffel Tower.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's watching himself get riled up on the phone. That's how it starts. Is that he's seeing himself doing the pushing on social media. So he's outside in front of the Eiffel Tower because, of course, it's France, by the way. So and then she comes over, and you're right. Girlfriend's like, who is this man I see before me? You're not supposed to be an alpha like Connor and Nate. Where's the softie I fell in love with? I'm worried.
Dude,
Really,
yeah,
you're right.
No, it's actually, she doesn't say. I don't think she drops the Connor and Nate line. I just want to give context. Yes, he says it. He says something like, you think Connor and Nate are just some fucking dickheads? Like they just fucking sit there, And like she's like, it doesn't matter. You're not fucking them. You fucking suck, dude. I whooped you in the gym, like, dude.
Yeah, I didn't even remember the fact that she did beat him in the gym too.
She knows. I mean,
But yeah, no, absolutely, dude. Yeah, exactly. Those killers, those legitimately great fighters that you look up to, you're not like those guys. What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, this was definitely fucking crazy. So after she fucking emasculates him in front of the most beautiful thing probably in their country, I mean, that is
it's
and
national symbol.
Yeah, so like the fact that he took her there and she had the nerve to just dig into him like that.
Did he take her there though, or did she just, because he was there by himself and she sort of just walked up? So I mean, like, she was just
not
around.
Everybody in France just hangs out walking around the Eiffel Tower.
But the show would make you think they do.
I mean, listen. I'm not somebody who knows what goes on in France, but I know you guys don't all live underneath the Eiffel Tower. But the
Eiffel
show
Tower
might
is always there. It's just it's everywhere.
I know, dude. Jesus. So either way.
Yeah.
After this scene, we go to a fucking hotel. We're sitting outside the hotel.
Yes. Yeah. We're waiting for. Well, we're loading up into the vehicle, the van, to take Taylor and crew to the fight now. And Friend Bro is making everybody late.
I think they're at a different hotel. The way that I got it is he's not staying with the team because he's better than them. Like that's the way. And then afterwards, after the scene, that would make a little sense the way that he continues to act. But I think they went there to pick him up, so they're standing outside the car posted, waiting for him to get out of his fucking 5-star hotel room, and he comes out with a suit jacket. He's like, my bad, guys, I was taking a fucking shit, like shit like that.
Could have been. I mean, either way, I got it that like they were all in the hotel, they were all on time, and he was just being late. But it could have been him being a little bit of a hot shot, because we'll definitely see going forward here that that's what they're implying anyway. So either way, one way or another, he is causing problems, and we know that he is a problem in general now because of what happened in the last episode too.
Well, I said, Taylor said, Taylor drops a line. He's like my brother. I've known him since I've known him forever. And if they would have done that in episode 1, I would be okay with it.
Right.
Like, okay, this is the friend character. But like, no, it's just like the piece of shit dude in the gym who's just roiding up and he just happens to be tagging along. Same with the fat friend. It's like, he doesn't have a purpose. He just happens to tag along sometimes, especially in this scene. He's just back. Like, he's just back with the team. Okay, so he's like my brother, and I put he's late as always, I'm sure, and then everybody hates him all of the sudden.
Well, Taylor wants to believe in their friendship is basically what they're setting this up as, is like Coach is aware now of the dynamic between these two guys. He's been doing that little like, I know what's going on look every time that they're talking to each other. So he's internalized what's happening between them. And Taylor wants to believe in their friendship because they've been friends and training for a very long time. And Coach says he better succeed too, or you guys aren't going to stay friends for very long. And so I was like, well, then that's a shitty friendship if that's the truth. Anyway, like, I mean, that should not, if you're legitimately friends and you're doing the same sport, like, it shouldn't be like, think of Rob and Aljo, you know what I mean? Like, you should have that kind of friendship as opposed to like being rivals of each other.
I think I don't know how to explain it. So what we're getting into with the show is we're getting into that, the two friends that maybe they're butting heads because they're both trying to reach the same level. So we get to the next scene where they're in the car and they're picking out, their entrance music, and they're like, man, what are you going to come out to? And I think, the way that you're describing the friendship, I think in this scene, it could be a misconception. I think that could, in any other scenario, that could be two bros and, they're just fucking around with each other. Like, nah, my song gotta fucking bring it, man. But the way that they're like portraying it is like, he's like, my song is like so much better than yours
No,
because
he is.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna have a performance with it, stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, no, he definitely. Well, that's the whole thing. Is that Taylor is struggling to like accept that. I think at least early on, before like at this point, which is funny considering that he in the last episode had a whole bunch of headbutting moments with him already. So it should be like this is already sort of in your mind that things are starting to trend that direction. But for whatever reason, he's just like, no, that's my brother for a long time. He wants to be here with me, is what he had said at one point. Like he wants to believe that this friendship still can carry on and that they're going to be friends. But no, it's becoming more and more apparent that this dude is trying to be a rival of him, even if it is sort of passive aggressive at first. And that's what you get in the car with the walkout music. But what I had said to this whole situation, though, is that Coach is saying these things to Taylor about the friendship. And my question was, isn't Coach also his coach? Like, why is this coach making this all out to be like Taylor is the problem for not recognizing it? Like, Coach, you're in charge of both these guys, are you not?
No, you're not understanding how the coach operates. He only has one star pupil, and he puts all of his time and devotion into that one, and everybody else can go fucking die. Like,
It's a good point.
talk about his original one, Red One. I mean,
Yeah.
like, dude, he was there, and when he dipped out, he was like, shit. Well, Taylor, let's go, buddy. Let's get on the high horse. You got to get in this fucking fight league, dude. Like,
you make a very good point. He does only have time for one student at a time. So yes, that is true.
he
So
makes
maybe
good money somewhere else. You see the fucking car he's driving? He got a full-time job, probably.
this is true. This is true. I guess the gym just kind of runs itself without him, and he only, he can be that selective. Maybe
Well,
he has a
the
huge
funny
staff.
fat friend is there doing shit. Like it can stay open.
Facts, absolute facts. Funny fat friend is not getting paid
And
nearly
he's
anything,
never
so
losing weight. Isn't that the crazy part of him always working at the gym?
it's true. He's scrubbing a lot of mats, not pushing a lot of weights.
Either way.
But yeah, so regardless of all of that, we're in the van now, and Taylor is playing his walkout song. And I did think that this was pretty funny because it's a song by Tory Lanez and Meek Mill, and this is the song that Friend Bro is saying is not good enough of a walkout song for him. And I was like, damn, Tory Lanez and Meek Mill's taking L's in real life and on the cage. That's pretty sad.
Yeah, true. If you got L's coming from the cage, the French media, whatever you want to say here, yeah, you're definitely not doing too hot. But yeah, so they come out the van, right? And I don't know if you noticed this. The girlfriend, she's like wearing a prison jumpsuit. Like, I don't know what she's wearing. Like, she's wearing a bright orange, like she's wearing the Orange is New Black type shit. Like,
No shit.
And she's just walking around in the background of them. And this is where I noted the Royd friend is so fun, and everybody hates it. He's having a great time with the press. He's like, "Yeah, what's up? Like, peace out." He's posing and shit, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, can we just fucking go?" Like,
can we take a step back and acknowledge that there is no fucking way in hell there would be people queued up outside to cheer on the entrance of fighters at this level to the venue? At this level, the fighters would more likely be walking around in the venue with the crowd members. There's no way.
To be fair,
go ahead.
There was only a handful of them, and I thought, okay, at least it's not a big crowd. Like, it's not Michael Jackson was showing to the thing.
Even still, I don't think that there would be anybody that would
be
out there.
They get paid to go there. That's French. They're French media. They got to go cover the French promotions.
Those have a press box for that. That's not fans outside cheering and clapping and waving their hands. We want Taylor, which is what they were saying, by the way. That was the funnier part too.
Yeah.
They've got a bunch of fans out there. Yeah, it's not a huge crowd. Let's say it's like 25, 30 people at most. That's
pretty big compared to a lot
massive.
of crowds. That's more than a group,
Yeah, no shit. And they're all cheering for Taylor, but Friend Bro, it's like you said, he's having the time of his life. He's going out there like he's the star of the show. He's mugging, he's posing for people. He's pointing at the cameras. He's like Mr. He reminded me of Spider-Man 3. Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3 doing the finger guns at everybody.
Yeah, no, he was definitely doing some crazy shit. And then we get inside.
No.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry,
please, because this is one of the instances where I legitimately.
Well, maybe they weren't inside. Maybe we're talking about the same part. Okay, go ahead.
Could be, but this was one of the times that I legitimately laughed out loud. Like, it caught me off guard, and I really had like a serious laugh. Friend's taking pictures with everybody. He's acting like a star, blah, blah, blah. Taylor, they're all calling for Taylor. And at the very end, before they enter the building, the last comment from the crowd, and this is what I was saying, the ADR, if it's the dubbing, whoever made this happen is a legend, because the last voice says, MMA is saved, and it's all thanks to him. I'm done, bro.
Yeah.
Mic drop. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
That was the funniest shit I had ever heard. The MMA is saved. Bro, MMA was floundering in France. It needed saving, and Taylor is here.
Yeah. No, that guy's definitely a WWE fan, because that's some shit you would just hear in the crowd, like, man, Ric Flair, your hair fucking sucks, like just random shit.
But this dude really is believing that Taylor is the savior of MMA in France.
Yeah,
Whoever this rando in the crowd is, bro, I died. I was like, what? That was the funniest shit I'd ever heard.
That one is pretty nuts. I did not catch that one. I feel bad because that probably was pretty good. But either way, okay. We go inside.
Yeah, we're in the hallway now.
We're in the hallway. Taylor pulls the fun friend aside, the roid friend, the fun roided friend who's an asshole dick, whatever. Right. That guy pulls him to the side. And he's doing exactly what his girl did to him. He projected the entire conversation that his girl fucking chewed him out for onto his buddy. Did you not get this? They're perfect for each other because of this. Like that should show you right there they're the exact same person.
The difference, I'll tell you what the difference is. The difference, at least, and the way that I perceived it, was that Taylor was saying that he's like, right now is not the time for you to be acting out. He basically was saying, you're stealing the spotlight from me right now. You're here to support me. Like, because the friend's like, oh, when I come out, they're going to be cheering, blah, 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 this and that. And he's like, yeah, and that's fine when it is your time to. But like now, he said, know your place. And that was where he kind of fucked up, because it was like, know your place is kind of a strong wording of that. But like what he was saying was not wrong. It's like, bro, you're overstepping a little bit. And I thought he handled it pretty well up until know your place.
Know your place was pretty damn good. Especially because I even wrote after that, I said, Taylor learning that line after 4 episodes, in quotations, maybe 4 years, is pretty nuts. And then you have the roid friend who rages out and he goes, you need me. And he hits him with the whole, you can't fire me, I quit speech,
Brother, he said, it's you who needs me. Fucking why? Yeah. Why? Give us yet another example of this show just making shit up. We have no reason in anything that has happened in this show for Taylor to actually need this guy for anything. Yeah. There's no purpose. The literal only thing still to this day, aside from fucking with him before his fights during the tournament, was him taking the shot from Ibrahim in the first episode. That's the only thing he has done for him. What does he need you for, friend bro? Nothing.
Yeah, and the show doesn't do a great job of explaining a lot of things. Maybe there's a lot more that he does for Taylor that we don't know,
Off screen,
a lot of things happen. And we'll even talk about the next scene because, actually, this is the point where I know. So he must have been on his phone watching another fight, because I wrote specifically, the writers love a non-French guy to win on screen while Taylor is watching.
He was watching the event from backstage.
Okay.
That's what he was doing. Yeah, he was backstage. I said A for realism on that, at least, because that is what happens. They play the event backstage for the fighters who are preparing for their fights. So fine on that. Coach says, tune all the other shit out. It's fight time. They're walking down the hallway, and that's where we actually encounter Taylor Lapalus on commentary. Again, bro is everywhere.
He was definitely in the booth. I said Taylor in the booth. And this is the most iconic line. This is the most iconic line coming up. And if you don't have a note here, you missed out on something crazy. The announcer.
Oh, the ring announcer, yeah.
The ring announcer, who was really funny. He has another line later that's really funny. He says, tonight we bring you fleshlights.
Flashlights.
I don't know, dude. He said flashlights to me, but I looked up. I'm like, whoa, they're showing some crazy shit on the TV tonight, Taylor. Well, I thought this was MMA, dude.
Yo. Yeah, no, I did have, what the fuck is this ring announcer talking about? In the cold of winter, we bring you flashlights.
Like, what in the cold of winter, we bring you flashlights, buddy. That's what you need.
I mean, it would have been more entertaining for the crowd than what we will eventually get inside the octagon, unfortunately. So before this, I did want to mention, though, that up until this point, now, Taylor, Chase, that I just did my first commentary gig not too long ago, right? Where I was out there doing commentary for live fights and stuff. Taylor Lapalus is the man that I strive to be, because now in the course of this show, Taylor Lapalus has done on-screen commentary for the UFC, KSW, and Eris. And I mean, this is a span of however months, years, we don't know, of course, but still, I mean, this guy is working. Taylor Lapalus is working, bro. This is why he left the UFC.
You're not. No, actually, he didn't leave the UFC. You're forgetting that he also plays himself in the show.
Right. Oh yeah.
So,
well, and yeah. He at some point I guess was in the was training too. So yeah, this is a very Taylor Lopolis is just working, man. This guy is he really is the man that I strive to be. So shout out to Taylor Lopolis. The man does not stop working. He's the James Brown of MMA.
Yes. And then and this show is just very, very quick when things happen. So it doesn't seem like this is where we would be at. But now we are getting to the walkouts. The villain walks out first. Standard walkout, very accurate, I say. But once again, like, this is exactly what it looks like. It's not as boring. Like, this is where the parts of the show get to where it's like, I would love to be texting right now because there's no notes to be taken because it's literally just the villain walking and music playing and then putting Vaseline on him and the music playing. Like, there's nothing going on.
No, well, the one note that I had was that it was pretty funny that Ibrahim is talking shit in his in-arena graphics package as well. Like I said, this dude is talking shit for the entire episode. So he's literally talking shit to Taylor through the screens in the arena.
Like Oz, he's just like,
yeah, exactly.
You suck. Anyway, so standard walkout from the villain. Taylor and the gang are backstage silent. Just saying nothing, just waiting, just standing around, the whole dicks in hands, doing nothing, like not a damn thing. And then this is where they cut back to, and I'm gonna phrase it the way that they wanted us to view it. This is not the way that somebody probably would understand it. They go back to the home gym, and they show a clip of everybody watching it, but these are none of the actual members that we have seen before. These are just another random group of people. The two main dudes that they keep cutting to, the two black guys, the one with the dreads, new character.
No, isn't that the guy that came up to him in the bathroom during the mirror scene?
I thought that earlier too, but I don't believe it was actually him. But also a new character for the 4th episode is still pretty crazy. Like
kind of wild.
So there's two dudes that they keep cutting to, and we're supposed to understand like this is the home gym, but without being big brained. If you're just watching with your brain turned off, it's like, who are the random black guys?
Just a bunch of people who all got together for this fight.
For Taylor's fight, like, I don't know, because, and we do talk about it. MMA careers are pretty quick, and maybe that's something that there's a lot of time elapsing in this show, quote unquote, maybe not. So maybe they're getting people in and out of the gym because people don't stick around that long. I don't know. But I feel like training in a gym, you would stick around longer than actually like competing in like, the profession kind of deal. So
sure. I don't know about that aspect of it or what the show is actually trying to say with it.
Yeah, true.
But so, the commentary, we're cut back to commentary. It's all the walkout parts still with Ibrahim and then, Taylor and crew getting ready to possibly walk out. And the commentary is like, we've been waiting for this for months. Again, with the time warping, and then they say this is getting personal between these two. No fucking shit.
Yes, I remember them saying that, and I'm like, oh wow, they're just now catching on, huh? How did you not know? After this is a rematch. Like this is the third. This is a trilogy. Like
the rematch after the in-gym event that started this whole chain of events. Blah blah fucking blah blah blah. And then so now it would be the time where Taylor is going to start making his walkout. He's up at the edge of the stage, and the PTSD just gets too strong. Taylor pulling some of the same shit that Cody Steele's opponent pulled on Dana White's Contender Series.
That's actually a truer statement because I was actually going to say, how real is this coming that we watched this after the Macy Barber incident, a couple weeks ago. So this was as real as it can be. He was still standing around having his PTSD moment. I kept writing, like, what a weird show. Like, what are they wanting? Like, what is the end goal of him quitting right now? So
right, that's a good point. Well, I mean, I guess sorry. Good, but then then the show is doing its job a little bit then because it kept you on the hook for what's eventually going to be a very big left turn.
Yes.
I just said that there's a lot of PTSD flashes. He's getting more of the flash, and I'm like, we get it. He's got the flashbacks, and then they cut to that one line where the doctor is saying you may experience flashbacks to just before the incident, and I'm like, we may experience flashbacks to earlier in the same episode.
Yes.
Literally what we're getting. And I was like, this is also his so you want to be a fighter moment right here.
Right, I know, right. And he did not want to be. He did not want to be. He refused his ass off Coach gave him a lot of different opportunities. In the first episode, Coach would have been like, good, we are out of here. I knew you weren't fucking ready. But now he's actually giving him an opportunity. And you know, Taylor does not fucking give up, you know. He does not, you know, continue
go
go out.
Whatever
you want to
the
say.
exact
Like,
opposite. He does give up.
My bad. Yeah, white flag was definitely raised there. Taylor gives up, and it was definitely a snoozer because they stood there. And it's funny too because there was a note. They keep acting as if there's like second chances here. They're like, Taylor, you're good. Like he's sitting backstage, and everybody's giving him the look like, are you going to do it for real? And then he finally takes off his gloves, and they're like, all right, well, let's get the cab, you know, shit like that. So it was kind of funny that they made it seem like it wasn't over immediately when he did not show up for the fight. Like,
yeah, well, right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why another, you know, as far as like the MMA reality of this show goes, this is very like heavy because it's the same. Like I referenced the Cody Steele on the Contender Series thing. It's like, you're never going to hear about his opponent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, so it's like now we're supposed to believe that there's still some opportunity for this character when it's like, bro, you were at the edge of the stage. People are able to see you because, and I know that this is very true because my other note here, the other funniest line from the crowd in this show is that when Taylor is, you know, he's committed to not going out there. He's not going out. The crowd is at first, it's all both ladies, by the way. The ladies, when it comes to this in the crowd, one lady is like, we want Taylor. And then he turns around to leave. And another lady's like, coward.
That one is pretty good. I don't know if you heard this gem. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I can tell you exactly what he said. I had it in the notes. The announcer cry emoji. The way that he announced the cancellation. Did you kind of get how it went?
I'm really starting to feel bad about this now.
No. He was like, all right, ladies and gentlemen. I know. Well, the fight has been canceled, so we're gonna go up and get out of here. Like it was so funny. He didn't give a shit. Like he just had to announce it, and he was like, all right, ladies and gentlemen. That fight is canceled, so we're out of here.
Yeah, pretty much. So before that, Fernand Lopez is in the building, and Fernand Lopez gets a little bit of acting screen time to ask Coach, because Coach comes out from backstage like to deliver the message. You know, they're like, yeah, Coach, you got to tell him something now. Taylor's in the back. He's getting hugs from the girl, you know, he's getting consoled and all this. And so Coach goes over to Fernand Lopez, you know, promoter of this event, or at least high-level person in the event. And Fernand Lopez flat out asks him, is it psychological? And Coach really put him out on Front Street. It's just like, yeah, it's psychological. Fernand Lopez is the one who comes in with the homie move and covers it up and says to the the production assistant, he's like, tell him it was an injury. You know, yeah. we're gonna cancel the main event. It was an injury. Just call it that. We're out of here. It's like, shouldn't Coach have been the one to lead with that? Like, you don't really need to put your student out there like that, but okay.
I think there was another funny moment that we missed. So the villain in the time after Taylor calls the fight, the villain walks right over to the announcer, grabs the mic, and he starts talking his shit. The commentators are sitting here, they're having the commentary like, oh, he's gonna have big consequences for this. You know, something's gonna happen. So I wrote, where was it at? The villain is doing his best to get fired right now. Like he literally didn't have to do anything. He's probably gonna get show and win money. And he's acting like a little dick. I mean, if it was the UFC, but whatever you want to say.
No, yeah, this is the exact next thing of all of that is that Ibrahim the funnier part to it before he even grabs the mic is that he bolts towards the cage door like he's gonna. They even say, "Oh, he's gonna go hunt Taylor down." It's like bro is literally gonna go run backstage to like search the arena to go find this guy. And you're right. It's like I just said in the notes, I'm like, what the fuck? This shit is so fucking goofy. Yes. Bro really did the "let me at him" from Popeye. You know, let me at him. Let me get him. But yeah, so he's like he doesn't get let backstage. Whatever, the people keep him in the octagon, and then he goes over and snatches the mic and just again starts talking shit. Honestly, in this time, I said warranted under the circumstances to an extent. Even though you're right, all he had to do was just sit there and get paid. But I can understand him being upset. The crowd back home like sees him grab the microphone and they're all like, whoa, and it's like, nah, dude, you really don't have a leg to stand on with this one because your boy bitched out. This dude was here, he was ready to go. Like he's not wrong for this, you know?
Yeah, and so you said it earlier. We can, this is personal that they said this. This is where I have the line, so they must have said it twice.
Yeah,
the commentators after Ibrahim's talking his shit, the commentators get on there and they're like, we can confirm that this is personal. You know, like maybe they throw it out there earlier, like, man, this might be a little personal, guys. And then at the end, they're like, nah, guys, confirmed. It's personal. I'm
Well,
telling you.
the reason that we know it's personal is because while he's on the microphone, Ibrahim says, I'm coming. If I can't beat this guy up, I'm coming for his gym and his coach. He's pulling a Manel Kopp without dropping the F slur.
Yes. So that gets us into the next scene, which I think is very, very funny.
This is you again want to talk about left turns and wild stuff that's coming. This came so far out of left field to me. I was like, what is happening right now? But go ahead.
So I want you guys, first I want you guys to understand that going into this, the context that you may have missed is that the coach's name, he goes by Boss.
Boss.
That is what people call him. And apparently that is what Ibrahim also has him saved in his phone as.
Everybody knows him as Boss.
And what is interesting is that Boss, the coach of Taylor, comes out of nowhere to blackmail the villain by sending him photos of the woman that he beat the shit out of, and he says, if you come for anybody in my team, I'll fuck you up. I don't know what he said after that. I couldn't read it, but either way.
Coach sends pictures of a beat up woman to Ibrahim, like, leave my gym alone. I said, again, information falling out of the sky. Where, when, how, and why does Coach have this dirt on him? We don't know. That came out of complete nowhere. Like I said, complete left field. This shit just got dropped into your lap, that all of a sudden Coach has this blackmail material against the villain that is just now coming out. Mind blown on this one. I'm like, what the fuck? And we get a little bit of a taste of it. So, and I think that I had heard, I tried to not get too much outside information about the stuff that we review. So I'm 100% blind, but I did hear that John Jones is on this show at some point. I was like, it is pretty crazy to me that John Jones is going to be cameoing on a show that has not one, but 2 domestic violence incidents against women on it. Just saying.
So you didn't know that?
That's what I'm saying. I did know that one little detail.
Well, every time you get on Netflix, so you know how like there's the page, right? And then you click on it, and then it's got another page where it's like play or like or add other stuff. It literally only has the thumbnail of John Jones sitting there with like some random dude. I don't even think it's Taylor. Like, it's John Jones sitting with a random dude. And as you know, we are on the 4th of 5th episode, and we have yet to see John Jones. So they've been milking that thumbnail for the one scene that he's in, you know?
Fair. You forget that I watched this show with my Russian friend. So
true. I agree.
Yeah. So you're right, though. It's like they've been building up the as far as you're telling me, that they've been building up the John Jones element of this a little bit. And like, if I found out about it, like, from before, since this show has not been talked about in MMA circles at all, pretty much, like, then that must have been one of the few details that did get out into the ether, out into the public.
Now, and I know everybody out there is like all excited because we brought up John Jones, and it does not have a payoff this episode. I will go ahead and tell you that right now. But interesting enough, we will get into something that is relevant to John Jones. But the next scene starts with Taylor sitting in the empty arena with Boss or Coach, as you may know him. And he walks up, and they basically have the talk. And Taylor's like, do I have to say it? And the coach says, no need to explain. I basically know you're a fucking pansy. Like, that's basically what he insinuates to him. And he says, always felt that way. Probably, oh my gosh, he hits him with the line, it's probably too soon to ask. And I thought, too soon, brother? He's already like dead mentally. Like, how is it too soon to ask him anything that whatever, dude? That was making me still mad. And then Taylor, giving him the response of like, man, I still want to be a fighter. Like, I really still want to do this. And it's like, you're like you're in the arena of the day that you could have competed. Like, where's the heart change? Like,
yeah, no, absolutely. This was definitely a weird element of an already weird storyline. But yeah, so they're hanging out inside the venue, talking over what just happened. Like, maybe this could have been something that you did outside of the place that it just happened at, but okay, whatever. They're in the rafters, they're talking about it. And yeah, and so basically the coach is trying to like impart to Taylor that he understands like the PTSD that he's experiencing, the trauma elements of it, this and that. And then he's like, Taylor says, he's like, you could I really need your help, is what he says. I don't know what it is, but I really need your help. And you're like, yeah, you're exactly right. Like, you had your shot here. Like, maybe you need to reevaluate everything in your life at this point. Like, he's just like, I need the help from the coach. And I was like, maybe you should get your help from the fucking doctor that already offered it to you, but okay. And the coach says, there's something that we could try. And we'll get into what that actually is, but I was really hoping that he'd say ayahuasca at that time. I thought that would have been really funny, but he did not. But Taylor's like, this was even more crazy to me than what he says here. Taylor says, this is all, I don't know what I need, but this is all I know. And I'm like, bro, Taylor, you are a 20-year-old amateur fighter. This doesn't have to be all that you know.
Right. Yeah. So he says, coach, help me. Yes. And coach hits him with the, I'm not your shrink, so no promises. And
you have an actual shrink.
Right. And then, of course, we see how crazy that line is for how off the rails what we see coming up
is.
And then he says, the last line that I remember him saying is, Taylor, this won't be easy. And I'm sitting here thinking, you just watched him not want to compete, and you're like, fuck it, off the rails. We got to go 10 times, 110%. If you think that you're going to puss out, no, fear is the edge of, like, he's just crazy. I don't know.
And yeah, what ends up happening as we get into this next section, which is going to be coming up on basically towards the end of where we're going with this, is yet another, if I said that the blackmail pictures of the woman sent to Ibrahim was out of left field, this is some next level left fieldness. Now, I mean, okay, and we'll get into it a little bit more. I don't want to tip the hand because we are going through it in order. But so anyway, that is all correct. How you laid it out there, Chase. And now again, hard cut. We're out of the arena. We're in the backseat of a cab now, off to Sweden. We're going to Sweden.
We're in Sweden, Stockholm, Sweden.
Yeah, and I wanted to note here, because they are in a cab, I don't know how the rest timelines. I don't know how the rest of all of the travel went, but Sweden is 1,200 miles from Paris. So coach is taking Taylor 1,200 miles, and Taylor asks, "You still not going to tell me where we're going?" He has traveled 1,200 miles, not knowing where the destination is. Just put that out there.
Make sure to note is that mommy calls Taylor, and coach goes, "Don't answer."
Nope.
Don't answer. You can't you are off the radar. You are with me, buddy. We don't answer calls. So this is also to note, when the aerial footage of the car showed up, the car changed lanes without using a turn signal. Just wanted to make note. I don't know who put this one in there. Safety on the road is very key. I'm just saying.
Driver must have been from Florida.
Dude. So either way, so the coach says, we're training. This is actually really funny. I know we've been edging like a lot about this finale, but this is really funny how they drop the ball like instantly. The coach is just like, right? He just goes, we're going to train with someone special. It's John Jones' coach. And you're just like,
okay.
John, John Jones' coach. Like, he just like throws it out there. And then he also says, but just don't think about that right now, and then it's like you have 1,200 miles to go, huh? Like, and not think about that one. Okay.
Well, yeah, he asks the coach, like, what is going to be my reward for doing whatever this unknown thing is? So it's kind of weird in general. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but is there a reward?
Yeah, that was definitely weird. Just don't think about that right now. And then I also said he spoiled the surprise, so that was definitely fun. He said, I got a surprise for you, and then told him 12,000 miles away or whatever the fuck it was, so that was pretty funny. And then do you have anything else to know?
Well, only to say that, like, that's the surprise for after the surprise, yes, which we're getting to here. But yes. So we're leading all the way into a back alley. This is, again, one of the most stereotypical things I've ever seen in my life, but they go to the back alley. There are dogs barking. They're in the industrial zone. Yep. This is,
chain link fences, smoke, exactly. And pollution.
Yeah, for sure. And I said, just had in the notes, got to be a fight club. Okay, yes. I was half right there. It certainly is what we're leading up to, but we don't know that just yet. But that was the inkling. That's certainly the impression.
I agree. I said John Wick style goons.
Yo, legit. Very apt comparison for sure. We go in, and they go down, and they're going deep into the cavernous
into the
underbelly.
Abyss is what I said. Yes,
for real, dude. They're going, into like it reminded me of like GoldenEye level, a James Bond 007, underground lair kind of bunker type deal. But yeah, they're going down into the underground lair in the industrial zone with the dogs barking everywhere, all this kind of stuff. Guys literally being carried out unconscious and bloody as they're passing him in the hallway. Some dude's getting taken out. Things are looking like they're getting pretty heavy. This is going to be the tough guys club.
Yes, that is exactly the moment that I noted. Brutal underground fight club. When they were carrying that guy out, I was like, okay. I assumed it was probably something along this lines, but you could never expect anything with the show. But they carry the guy out. He's obviously got beat up. I'm like, okay, underground fight club. I wanted to know before that, John trains in a shithole. If John Jones is coach or whatever the relation is, I don't.
But I don't. No. I don't think that he meant that John Jones' coach was going to be anywhere near there. I think that he just meant that if you win your fight here, you're going to. This is John Jones's mob, dude. You're not understanding. Well, this is the mob of John Jones. He owns these Russian guys. When we find out what we end up finding out, I don't think that these guys would be hanging out with John Jones for a very specific reason.
Oh well. Okay. Anyway. Okay. So. We got the worst doorman ever. Once you get into the place, he goes, "Who goes there?" Big old. Yeah. He's like Lurch, from and then they're like, "He's a fighter." And he's like, "All right," and it's like he didn't ask for anything else. He's just like, "All right,
pat him down real quick, and off you go."
I'm just supposed to ask. I don't really have a bigger purpose,
But yeah, so we get down deep into the underground here, and then we finally see the enclosure that people are fighting in, and it's legitimately King of the Streets shit. Yeah. And I don't know if you know the King of the Streets organization or anybody out there listening knows King of the Streets, but it's too much for me to stomach sometimes, honestly, because it is legitimately brutality. It's the type where it's like dudes just fighting on concrete floors with just like metal those guardrails, but they're like high enough that it's like full on perimeter guardrails or whatever, and like it's just two dudes going at it, just unfiltered, no pads, no nothing. It is two guys fighting each other, concrete, danger, like really, really heavy brutality. It's like I said, it's almost a little bit hard to stomach sometimes, and that's what Taylor is walking himself into here, or not what Taylor's walking himself into, what his coach is walking him into.
I should have noted this way long ago. Not in my notes that I have this noted, but I should have thought of this way long ago. I write in the notes I have this. Why would this be the best option going forward? Like because going forward in Taylor's career, why is this what you think is best for him right now in the state of mind that he has?
Well, honestly, I'm jumping ahead a little bit because I do have that in the notes, but I honestly, like from a narrative and a storytelling sense, I did kind of like that because it was basically like the Luke Skywalker in Dagobah going to see Darth Vader in the cave thing a little bit, where it's like you need to face your ultimate fear in order to conquer it. So, I mean, I give it a little bit of credit for that because, I mean, like, we don't know it at this point, but, like, it's already the belly of the beast just by the setup of, like I said, this street beef / King of the Streets kind of fighting style that they're going to be doing with, just on concrete or whatever. So it's already heavy enough. But then when we find out that there's a little bit of a racial component to it, it like does ramp it up, but it's still even crazier that his coach would knowingly walk him into something like this.
Yeah.
Also, how does coach know about that?
That's what I was going to say is how does coach know about this? Did he compete? We will actually learn a little later that he indeed is anyway. So we're watching Taylor go in. He goes right up to the cage. He's watching on the sideline, and the coach is telling him, these guys are nothing. You're a champ.
Yep.
And my thought was, when did he win a belt?
My note was that this kid has shown zero traits of a champion.
Yeah. So you get to watch a guy in the cage throw a front kick into a Superman punch, which knocks his guy out, which was nice. I noted right after that, Taylor is going to die. And then the coach dropped this iconic bar, your mom doesn't even believe in you. And I'm like,
yeah.
He also tells him that your dad didn't love you. He didn't want to raise you. Like, you're a piece of shit. Like, I don't even fucking like you. We're just here because I want you to die, basically. Like, that's what I'm getting from this.
Well, I think that's one of those like slap him in the head kind of things where it's like, are you the man or are you not? But I hear it.
That's a little too far.
Very,
they tell you, come on, no, whatever.
Yeah,
but
very pointed.
So, and then it turns into Rose Namajunas' speech where he's like, "Say I'm the best. I'm the best. Say I'm louder. I'm the best. Louder." You know,
bro took like it's like he had like a list of MMA related like points that he needed to get into the show, and that was the Rose Namajunas. I said Taylor Namajunas in the notes. But yeah, you know, the one note about the Superman punch, I did think that was interesting too, because if you recall, earlier in this series, we saw a CGI Superman punch, and I said, damn, they obviously found somebody who could do a solid stunt Superman punch for episode 4, but episode whatever it was earlier, they could not. So at least we saw a good one, because that actually did look pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. No, this one was definitely a fun. The fight scenes are always pretty good in this one, but this one was a little more raw, and it felt that way. Like, it compared to the other ones, like, it didn't feel like the same martial arts event like promotion kind of thing. Like, it did feel underground for that
for aspect. Sure. Yeah, and I think that the way that they handled all of that, because of everything that we've said leading up to this point, like, we're now like he gets inside of the enclosure barely, because he's basically, the coach is saying, tell me you're not afraid, tell me you're not afraid. Taylor cannot say I am not afraid, so we do know that he is like, damn, this is some crazy shit. And it's like, this is before he actually is inside of there, but he's getting ready to be pulled in there basically, and it's like, into the concrete cage with you. But then once he's actually inside, then it takes even a darker twist, because the crowd starts saying fuck off monkey boy to Taylor, and of course,
no way,
you did not hear that. Oh brother,
I was not paying attention to them,
bro. Not only this, then you might have missed some crucial points of this, because this is what this is all really leading up to. The crowd starts saying fuck off monkey boy, and they start chanting monkey boy a little bit there, and I'm like, are they saying what I'm thinking that they're saying? Because Taylor is, of course, of mixed ethnicity. Opponent has not only the swastika tattoo, but the swastika mouth guard. I was like, bro, he is repping hard.
Tattoo, though. I did not see the tattoo, but the mouth guard was like, obviously they showed it up close. They're like, yeah, he's got the Ivan Drago type thing.
He had I believe it was on the back. He had the swastika, and then on the mouth guard, I was like, damn, I guess they are saying what I thought that they were saying, and that was when I had the note. How did Coach know that this existed exactly?
Yes, yeah, he definitely was into some hinky shit, some 4chan stuff going on. But yes, I also wrote here, Nazi mouth guard, wow. And actually, no, I wanted to note also, the guy at the gate, he says, take everything off, can't have anything. And then Taylor walks in with his shirt on, which was really funny. Everybody else was fighting without the shirt on. You know, I didn't know you could change the fucking rules in the street underground system here.
Yeah, I suppose so. It's a good point. I think that they probably, for the show purposes, kept it on so that they could have a little bit of blood come onto it at some point. But either way, you're right. I mean, yeah. But so you're right. He goes in there with a shirt and I believe sweatpants too. Like,
definitely, yeah. So I also wrote after we saw the Nazi mouth guard, I said symbolism. That's what that is, guys. If you didn't know, that is what that is.
Well, on the nose symbolism for sure. But but so this is where I had the note about, like, if this is the setup, I actually do kind of fuck with it. If this show was just better, this could be an interesting idea, because it is like, we're taking you into the absolute most dangerous version of like, this is not a sanctioned fight. This is not a structured fight. This is literally like, go in there and see if you really are about your shit, period. And you're going up against somebody who really wants to hurt you now. You know, this is, again, like, you know, this goes a little bit farther than two guys who just want to fight each other for the sport, for the money, blah, blah. This is like, this dude has a problem with you. He wants to fucking really hurt you. And of course, we're going to find out that they really want to hurt everybody at the end of all this. But, you know, so anyways, the point is that, like, if it was a better constructed program altogether, like, I like the being in the belly of the beast kind of circumstance, because it is, like, interesting in that regard.
Yeah. No, this one is this is a doozy. So anyway, we get in the cage. Mm-hmm. We're in the cage. We see the Nazi mouth guard. Taylor immediately starts fighting like a pansy, running away, doing nothing. And then he got his back after some slick combos, which was interesting. Gets reversed, goes for the arm bar, gets slammed onto concrete. I want you to understand that this is just this is ground that doesn't give. You know, it's different from a mat. There's a little there's a little bounce there. This is concrete. He got slammed, and I thought that was the end. I was like, oh, he's fucked. Like that would
every vertebrae in his back would have been shattered with the way that he was slammed. Because I also had very nice reversal by the Nazi. I was like, man, that actually was really slick.
Game is game, man.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, pick up and drop slam. Yeah, he would his from his tailbone to the lower part of his neck, the entirety of his torso hit flat on the ground. He would have been every bone demolished the way that he went down.
If not, he would have been laying there for a hot second. Like, I mean, maybe on the hot chance adrenaline lets him get up, but it ain't gonna be as quick as he was, because he was back into the fight. Because the immediate next note is drops him, goes for the finish, and then Taylor has a CTE fit, and then decides to ground and pound our buddy into oblivion. Make note that when Taylor starts dropping the elbows, you get the skull crunch sounds. You were getting the
bro, it literally on. It's funny that you say that, because I wasn't going to say this otherwise, but it reminded me on the caption, the closed caption. It literally said wet crunching sound.
Nice.
So that's the extent. It's amazing the way that he was ground and pounding this guy. It was amazing that the dude still had a face left by the end of it. Like he was pulverizing this guy's face, and he basically loses himself in it. He's going overboard. He's getting crazy, wild. He's overcome this beast, essentially. It's like a matador beast situation. He overcame all of that. He's screaming. Coach has to come in and pull him off. Then he goes and soccer kicks the fuck out of the dude at the end. Bro is legitimately dead. This dude is a murderer now. Taylor has murdered this man. There's no two ways about it, but it's the show logic, so who knows? This guy probably got up and was fine.
Yeah. So everybody else in the Underground Street Association did not take too kindly to their biggest and baddest favorite on the night getting pulverized and then stomped out at the end. More like a punt. Yeah, he kind of punted him in the face. It was pretty nasty.
Yeah.
And then it turns into an action movie. This is where
Escape from Nazi bunker.
Yes. Holy shit. This one turned into something insane. Coach and Taylor start taking on the goons. They somehow escape. There's a whole big action scene. It actually wasn't too bad if you forget that there's 40 fucking people on two.
That's why the problem that I had with it was that if the show, it doesn't know what it wants to be at times. It doesn't do what it's trying to do well. This would have been a cool opportunity if they were going to go just completely off the rails and like turn it into something that's a little over the top and schlocky. This would have been an awesome time for this to be like a gauntlet of like two guys have to fight their way through all of these bad guys. And it sort of was that. It's like, again, one toe in the water kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because it has elements of it, but not like, it doesn't get like over the top to the point where it's like, this is just fun. It's still trying to be somewhat grounded. But you're right, it doesn't make sense because there are so many of these Nazis down there, and it's just the two of them. So they fight them off. They're doing their thing decently enough. Coach ends up getting shanked at one point.
I don't know if that's exactly what happened, because I wanted to say also you can make note that there were a lot of people in there, but most of them were just throwing glass bottles across the room at them, and that's why I was confused on where Coach evidently
it was
got
real
stabbed.
Quick. Yeah, no, it was real quick. He got hit. One guy, like, if you go back again, very, very brief encounter.
I'll make sure to go back. Don't worry.
I know, right? Don't you don't have to, but I'll tell you that at one point they just isolate a shot where it's like a guy comes over, hits him with the shiv shot to the side, and then kind of turns away.
Okay.
And they intentionally kind of kept it short, and then the guy turns away and goes into the crowd to be like, he's gone. You're not going to know where that guy is. Like that guy's not getting caught, kind of thing.
Yeah. So they get up the stairs. And they get behind the only door that doesn't have anybody behind it. And that also
opens for them and locks from the other side, apparently.
Locks from the outside, will never open. Coach immediately is like doing and then he's standing against the wall. I wrote, Coach clearly got stabbed or something, so I missed that part. And then I said the show is bad, of course. Coach is dying. Coach is using his last breath. Taylor's trying to call the police. He doesn't know where they're at. I don't know. I don't know. But Coach used his dying breath to lie directly to Taylor's face. I love that moment of it. So that was really good.
Yeah, what did he? Do you remember what he said at that point?
He basically said, "I've always believed in you, and you're gonna be the man. Like I know you can do this." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Wow, you are a fucking fibber. You are
yeah,
100% lying."
yeah. No, exactly that though. Yeah, they're in a stairwell at this point. Coach is laying, presumably bleeding out. Presumably, Taylor is calling emergency services. No, we hear him on the phone with them, but I mean, like, he's trying to get emergency services to them. Hopefully they're on the way. And your cliffhanger for this episode is, will Coach survive this very dumb thing that he decided to drag them into?
Yes, exactly. So I mean. So what else can you say? Go ahead.
Well, what I can say is I would like to go circle right back around to the point that you made earlier in this review, that after hearing all of what we have just outlined, them, having this whole crisis of identity with Taylor and going through him pulling out of the fight and then going to this underground Nazi fight club and Coach getting stabbed, all of this could have been prevented if Taylor had just told the doctor that he needed some help. So yeah. Mental health is a real thing, people. Just that should be your takeaway. If there's anything positive that can come out of this very goofy experience of watching this show, take your mental health seriously.
Yeah, no, for real. And if BetterHelp, you're out there listening, you can certainly give us a sponsorship, because if anything, I'm going to need some sort of sponsorship to get through the next episode of this. There's no way I can give you guys 5 without BetterHelp.
We've got one more, dude. We've got one more to go. I cannot wait to see what, because I'm most curious now to see if they're going to try, because we know that they're only getting the one season. I think that that's been confirmed. They're not renewed for a second. So are they going to try to set up as if they were going to get a second season, or are we going to be left on a cliffhanger of some sort? Are we going to get an encapsulated single season of this? God, I hope so. That would be a really, because my thing is that if they leave it open for a second season, then it allows for all of this lazy bullshit that they've been doing with all the cliches and tropes and all of that. It allows it to just sort of exist unresolved. And it's like, if they can resolve any of this shit in one season, I'll at least give them credit for that. But I don't think that they're going to. I think it's just going to be open-ended, lazy bullshit, which is what I would expect from a show that's written like this.
Yeah, I actually agree. If every episode that we've seen so far has ended on a cliffhanger with unanswered questions and more questions than answered previously, I don't know what you're expecting. I'm not going to lie. This 5th episode is going to leave us dumbfounded. GSP's probably going to come back in a rocket ship, and he's going to go to Mars, and he's going to be like, dude, I found your coach. Like, I got him. Like, we're ready to go. Like, I don't know.
John Jones fighting electric unicorns on the moon. Mark it. Yeah, so I mean, well, at least we will get to see John Jones in the 5th episode, I suppose. That's what they've been leading up to this entire time. Apparently, John Jones is enough of a draw on Netflix to be in the thumbnail, as you said, so he's got to show up sometime, doesn't he?
Here's my prediction.
Yeah.
He's going to be the setup for season 2.
That does not sound too far off. I could see that. I'm trying to think of anything else that I could really predict, but the show has gone through so many left turns that have been like, intentionally catch you off guard for the sake of catching you off guard, that I'm like, is he going to fight the love interest? Is he going to fight the best friend? I think that maybe him fighting the best friend might be the angle that they're going to go for.
Yeah,
possibly.
The funny fat friend's going to get real in shape real soon, and then they're going to show down.
That's the greatest twist. That would be the left turn version of it. You think that he's going to be fighting trustworthy friend bro, untrustworthy friend bro. No, he's actually going to be fighting funny friend.
So Taylor goes to prison for manslaughter, right? They get him on killing that guy.
Yes.
He comes out. The funny fat friend is a Chad, and he's got his girl. Now we got a story.
Bro, I love that. There's no way they're going to do it. I like it too much.
I know.
That's great. I like
that.
They
need me in the writer room for season 2. I could probably get us some good shit going.
Funny fat friend and trustworthy friend bro have to break him out of prison, even though he's still with girlfriend. Funny fat friend is in shape with the girlfriend now. He's like, bro, I took your lady, but I still love you as a bro, though. I'm going to bust you out.
Yeah, I actually like the prison deal. I think the manslaughter charges, however they deal with that over there, I don't know. But I think now he's going to use his knowledge from the underground prison or the underground fighting association, take that into prison. He's going to be the big dog. Season 2 is going to be a tie-in to Prison Break.
Oh, now, okay. See, now we're talking. That's actually not a bad show idea, like, in reality. Because, like, if there was legitimately, like, all of this set up for him to go to jail and then have to be the top dog in the prison version of organized MMA or whatever, like the whatever organized, you know what I mean? Like, hey man, we got a little fight thing. I heard you're a fighter though, blah blah blah.
12
And
cigarettes for every win, dude.
bingo. That's what see, now there's something that actually has legs. So I guess the end of this episode 4 review is just to say we will see what happens in episode 5, the finale of season 1 of this show and of the show itself. As of right now, I suspect that nothing that we said will actually happen, and it's going to be a lot worse than what we said.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what's in store for episode 5. It is going to be a teeth puller, but I promise, guys, we're going to get that one out as soon as we can, because I don't know if anybody knew, Netflix also dropped a movie starring Mr. Surreal Gone. That was at the beginning of this month, and we are going to be reviewing that one as well. So we're going to get this 5th episode done for you. Promise.
That's right. We will do episode 5. The movie is called KO, I believe, and it does star Cyril Gone. I mean, I have had more than my fair share of French-made MMA programming up until this point, so we're going to have to see what that movie can do. I don't know if it's done by the same people. I don't think that it is, actually, which is kind of crazy that they've got this much French film production with an interest in MMA, but or at least MMA fighters. We'll see what KO is all about, because I really don't know anything about it going into it 100% blind. But yeah, we will get episode 5 done. We will close this thing out with the next video. Thank you guys very much for hanging out with us for this one, and stay tuned for episode 5 coming soon. Game.